At our Thanksgiving gathering, my spouse's uncle inquired why she chose me as her husband. With a sly grin, she quipped, "Because I couldn't find anyone better back then." The room erupted in laughter. I quietly finished my meal. A week later, she was pleading for my return. The turkey was overcooked, the mashed potatoes were pasty, and the atmosphere was heavy with the kind of artificial warmth only families harboring hidden resentments can muster. The annual Thanksgiving dinner was hosted at my in-laws' home, a tradition I tolerated like a dental procedure. I sat across from my wife, Emma, and beside her insufferable Uncle Ray, a man who'd amassed wealth in some murky financial sector and believed it entitled him to act like a pompous fool. Midway through the meal, in that awkward lull between the main course and dessert, Uncle Ray, emboldened by too many glasses of wine, decided to make me the evening's amusement. Leaning back, he waved his fork in my direction. "Emma," he said, loud enough to hush the table, "I've always wondered. He's a decent guy, sure, but why him? You could have had your pick. Why settle for this one?" His words weren't just a question. They were a verdict, dripping with disdain. The family's eyes turned to us, their faces a mix of curiosity and smugness. They all shared his sentiment. He was just tipsy enough to voice it. I looked to Emma, my wife of 3 years, expecting her to defend our bond. Instead, a calculated smirk spread across her face. She glanced at her uncle, then at me with mock pity. "Because I couldn't do better at the time," she said lightly. The table burst into raucous laughter, a full-blown roar. Her father slapped Ray on the back, and her sister, Mia, nearly choked on her wine. It was the wittiest jab they'd ever heard, and I was the punchline, my worth as a partner reduced to a cruel jest in their dysfunctional family play. I stayed silent, didn't lash out, didn't overturn the table. I took another bite of the dry turkey, chewed deliberately, and swallowed. I finished my plate, placed my utensils down, wiped my mouth, and looked at Emma. She was basking in her family's approval, radiant from her moment. In that instant, something inside me didn't snap, it crystallized. It was the calm clarity of a structure collapsing under its own flawed weight. For 3 years, I'd been working on a project, our marriage, and I'd just realized the foundation was fatally flawed. In my profession, you don't repair a bad foundation. You raise the structure and rebuild from scratch. Let me clarify who I am. I'm no pushover or weakling. I'm a historical restoration architect. I don't create shiny new buildings. I revive old, neglected treasures, restoring their beauty with care. My work is about precision, patience, and recognizing that what's hidden matters more than what's visible. I met Emma 4 years ago. She came from a wealthy but tasteless family, a risky mix. They obsessed over flashy new constructions and cheap finishes. I came from humble roots, but had built a respected firm known for its quality and integrity. To them, I was an oddity, a working-class guy who'd somehow entered their world. I wasn't some fool footing her bills. Our marriage was meant to be a partnership, a restoration project of its own. I thought Emma was different from her toxic family, that their arrogance was their flaw, not hers. I was mistaken. She wasn't just shaped by their environment. She was a cornerstone of it. Her quip at the table wasn't merely an insult. It was a revelation. It showed she viewed our marriage as a temporary compromise, not a partnership. I wasn't her spouse. I was a stepping stone until something better came along. As the laughter died down, I wasn't hurt. I was planning a demolition. They thought I was the joke, oblivious that I was about to become the wrecking crew. Update 1: The drive home from Thanksgiving was quiet. Not tense, just hollow. Emma was still riding the high of her social win, scrolling her phone and giggling at texts from Mia. She assumed my silence was sulking, a passing mood. She didn't realize it was the prelude to a storm. At home, in our meticulously restored 1920s craftsman house, I didn't confront her. I went to my study and shut the door. The first step in any demolition is a thorough assessment. You need to understand the structure before you start swinging. My focus was our biggest joint endeavor, a new house we were building on land I'd purchased before we met. It was Emma's obsession and my financial burden. She wanted a sleek, modern eyesore, glass and steel, the kind of soulless box her family admired. The budget had ballooned due to her demands for pricier materials and last-minute changes. I'd been funding it entirely from my business. The land was now in both our names, a gesture of partnership. But every dollar, for contractors, materials, permits, came from me. I spent hours reviewing the financials, itemizing every transaction. The total was over $800,000. Then I found the flaw. For 6 months, there were overages and discretionary material fees paid to an unfamiliar vendor, approved by Emma. A quick search revealed the vendor was a shell company tied to a P.O. box, linked to Mia, Emma's sister. Digging deeper, I uncovered their scheme. Emma approved inflated or fake invoices, and I, trusting her, paid them. The money was funneled to a secret account, totaling $65,000, which they used to prop up Mia's failing online boutique. This wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. This was the leverage I needed to dismantle everything. While Emma was at a spa day with Mia, likely celebrating their Thanksgiving coup, I began the demolition. I called the contractor, Dan, a trustworthy old-school guy, and informed him of a financial discrepancy, halting all construction indefinitely. Dan, fed up with Emma's changes, complied eagerly. I then contacted the bank holding the construction loan, reporting the potential fraud. They froze the account and launched an investigation, cutting off Emma's dream project. Next, I secured my finances, opening new accounts and transferring all my personal and business funds, leaving our joint accounts empty. I removed Emma as an authorized user on my credit cards. Finally, I compiled a dossier, a detailed audit of Emma and Mia's boutique, including evidence of the shell company, fraudulent invoices, the $65,000 they stole, and the boutique's dismal financials. I didn't send it to the authorities yet. Instead, I emailed it anonymously to Uncle Ray, Mia's primary investor, who'd sunk $100,000 into her venture, with a 2-word note: your investment. The charges were set, and Emma was oblivious, pampering herself at the spa while her world teetered on the edge. Update 2: the first explosion came within 12 hours of sending Ray the email. I was cooking a proper steak dinner when Emma stormed in, furious. "The weirdest thing happened," she said, tossing her bag on the counter. "My card was declined at the spa, and so was Mia's. We had to call Mom to cover it. So embarrassing." I looked at her. "That's odd," I said, returning to my steak. Before she could rant further, her phone rang. Her father. I couldn't hear him, but her face went from irritation to confusion to sheer panic. "What do you mean? I don't get it." "What email?" she stammered. Hanging up, she whispered, "Uncle Ray called Dad," screaming. "He says we stole from him, that the boutique's a fraud." Her eyes widened with dread. "He knows, Adam. He knows about the invoices." I took another bite. "That's a serious claim," I said calmly. Then her phone buzzed, a text from Dan. *Emma, confirming all work on the house is halted per Adam's orders. Site is locked down. She gaped at the message. "Halted? Why would you do this?" "There are financial irregularities that need investigating," I said, mirroring my words to the bank. "I can't keep funding a compromise project." This was the knockout blow. Her secret scheme was exposed, and her dream house, a symbol of her status, was now a dead project. The next week was a spectacular collapse of her family's facade. Ray, enraged at being duped, withdrew his funding from the boutique and threatened to sue his nieces. Mia, in a panic, blamed Emma entirely, turning the sisters against each other. Their parents, caught in the chaos, tried to salvage their family's image as neighbors whispered about the stalled construction. Emma tried to deny everything, but I sent the dossier to her father, its undeniable evidence shutting her down. Then came the apologies, tearful, desperate. She claimed it was a mistake, that Mia pressured her, that she loved me. It was a weak performance. "This isn't about apologies, Emma," I said calmly. "Our partnership was built on trust. You've shown it's built on lies. I don't build on lies." With her world collapsing and me offering no lifeline, she was left with no money, a half-built house, and a family fracturing under lawsuits and gossip. Final update: a month after Thanksgiving, Emma came to my door, begging, not for me, but for the house. "Please, Adam," she cried, tears streaking her face. "You have to finish it. It's all I have left. We can fix this." I looked at the woman who'd mocked me so smugly, now a broken mess. "The house isn't the project, Emma," I said. "We were, and we failed the final inspection." I offered her a deal. I'd take full responsibility for the house, finish it, sell it, and remove her name from the deed and loan. In exchange, She'd sign a post-nuptial agreement waiving all claims to my business and assets and agree to an uncontested divorce. The $65,000 she and Mia stole would be deducted from her share of the sale. She had no choice but to accept. I'm writing this from the construction site of what was her dream home. The crews are back, but the design's changed. I've scrapped her modern monstrosity for a classic, timeless home with integrity. When it's done, I'll sell it. After paying off the loans and deducting the stolen money, Emma will get a small sum, far less than she expected. Her family is in shambles. Ray is suing Mia, and their parents are caught in the legal mess, their reputation ruined. Emma's living with her parents again. The craftsman house we shared is on the market, too. I'm liquidating our failed partnership. My revenge wasn't a sudden outburst. It was a precise, methodical takedown. I exposed her dream of a perfect life as a flimsy facade built on a rotten foundation. She thought I was a temporary compromise. She learned the hard way that I was the only thing holding her world together.